Okay, so you want to own a five-star hotel. Marble lobbies, guests paying $800 a night, a doorman who knows everyone's name, and champagne flowing at every event. A prestige business that prints money one luxury stay at a time. Sounds simple. It is not simple. Here's the problem. Almost none of that is how this business actually works. And by the end of this, you'll understand why five-star hotels are among the most capital-hungry, operationally brutal businesses in hospitality, despite the glamorous price tag on every room. Let's start with the entry fee. Because building or acquiring a true five-star property is nothing like buying a boutique inn. A luxury hotel with 200 to 300 rooms meeting genuine five-star standards. Marble finishes, imported fixtures, and the square footage per room that luxury guests expect typically costs $400,000 to $800,000 per key to build, meaning total construction costs of $80 million to $240 million depending on location and brand affiliation. And that's before land acquisition, which in a genuine luxury market like a major city center or resort destination can add another $20 million to $100 million on its own. If you're acquiring an existing property instead of building new, established five-star hotels in prime markets, sell for $500,000 to $1.5 million per key, meaning a 250-room property could cost $125 million to $375 million outright. Add pre-opening costs, staff recruitment and training, initial inventory of luxury linens, china, and amenities, and marketing to establish the property before a single guest checks in, and you're looking at another $5 million to $15 million just to open your doors. Here's the first trap almost nobody sees coming. Most five-star hotels aren't actually operated by their owners at all. They're managed under a brand management agreement with a company like Four Seasons, Ritz-Carlton, or St. Regis, and these contracts typically last 20 to 30 years and give the management company nearly total control over operations, staffing, and standards, while charging you a base management fee of 3% of total revenue plus an incentive fee of 8 to 12% of gross operating profit. You own the building and bear all the financial risk, but the brand controls virtually every operational decision, and terminating these agreements early can trigger penalty clauses worth tens of millions of dollars. New owners routinely discover that owning a five-star hotel means being a landlord to your own brand, with far less control than the glamorous reputation suggests. Now let's talk about what happens after you actually open, because the operating bleed at a five-star hotel is unlike almost any other hospitality business, driven by a labor ratio that would bankrupt a lesser property. Staffing alone, at the industry standard ratio of 1.5 to 2 employees per room required to deliver genuine luxury service, costs $15 million to $25 million a year for a 250-room property, covering everything from round-the-clock concierge service to a full culinary brigade in multiple restaurants. Property taxes on an asset valued at $200 million can reach $3 million to $6 million annually. Utilities, given the massive square footage, pools, spas, and climate control demands of luxury properties, run $4 million to $8 million a year. Renovation and refurbishment cycles, mandated by brand standards roughly every 7 to 10 years to maintain five-star certification, require setting aside 4 to 6% of total revenue annually into a reserve fund. Another $6 million to $10 million a year that many owners forget to budget for until the brand demands it. Insurance for a property this size, given the liability exposure of high net worth guests and luxury amenities, runs $2 million to $5 million annually. Here's the economic reality that will define your entire career in this business. Your labor costs alone can consume 35 to 45% of total revenue, a ratio far higher than any other hotel category, and that ratio doesn't flex easily even when occupancy drops. Here's the part the passive income dream skips entirely, and it's the part that actually explains why this business exists in the first place. A five-star hotel does not make money primarily from room rates. It sells food and beverage, events, and ancillary luxury services at margins the room itself can never match. Understand this, and you understand the entire structure of luxury hospitality. On a typical $800 room night, after housekeeping, amenities, and the allocated share of that massive labor cost, The actual gross operating profit margin is often just 25 to 35%, similar to many mid-tier hotels despite the dramatically higher price point. The real profit engines are elsewhere. Food and beverage operations, particularly at the bar and in private dining, can generate margins of 60 to 70% on high-end wine and spirits. Wedding and corporate event spaces, commanding $20,000 to $100,000 per event, carry catering margins of 50 to 60%. Spa services, with treatments priced at $300 to $600, generate 55 to 65% margins after staff costs. The luxurious guest room is the product on the surface. The banquet hall, the wine cellar, and the spa underneath are the real business. Now let's follow one weekend guest and see where the actual profit comes from. A guest books a suite at $1,200 a night for 2 nights, spending $2,400 on the room alone. After the allocated labor, housekeeping, and amenity costs tied specifically to that room, the hotel's gross profit on the room itself is often just $700 to $900. But that same guest dines at the hotel's signature restaurant twice, spending $600, generating $350 in food and beverage profit. They book 2 spa treatments at $450, generating another $270 in profit. And they order room service and use the minibar, adding another $150 in high-margin profit. The single guest stay that looked like it generated $800 to $900 in room profit actually represents $1,470 to $1,670 in total profit, once you follow everything that guest actually spent during their stay. So let's run 2 versions of the same hotel and see how differently this can play out. In the optimistic scenario, your hotel maintains 78% average occupancy, an average daily rate of $750, and your food, beverage, and spa operations capture strong ancillary spend from a loyal base of high-net-worth repeat guests and a robust events calendar. Annual gross operating profit reaches roughly $42 million. After debt service, brand management fees, and the mandated renovation reserve totaling $32 million, you're clearing approximately $10 million in annual profit. And the property's reputation and brand affiliation support steady appreciation as a trophy asset among institutional real estate investors. Now here's the realistic scenario, using the exact same hotel, the exact same starting assumptions. A regional economic downturn combined with reduced international travel cuts your occupancy to 58%, and to remain competitive, you're forced to discount your average daily rate to $620. Your events calendar, heavily dependent on corporate clients who are now cutting travel and entertainment budgets, sees bookings fall by 40%. At the same time, the brand mandates an interim renovation cycle after an inspection flags outdated guest room finishes, requiring an unplanned $18 million capital infusion beyond your normal reserve. Annual gross operating profit falls to just $19 million, but your debt service, management fees, and reserve contributions barely change, because they're largely fixed obligations under your brand agreement. That $10 million optimistic profit doesn't just shrink. It becomes an $11 million annual loss once the renovation capital call is included, and you're now negotiating with lenders about covenant relief while the brand management company continues collecting its fees regardless of your financial distress. The operators who actually survive and thrive in this business long-term aren't the ones who built the most opulent lobby or negotiated the most prestigious brand affiliation. They're the ones who negotiated management agreements with meaningful owner approval rights over major expenditures, who built genuine cash reserves beyond the brand-mandated minimum specifically for downturns and surprise capital calls, who diversified revenue aggressively into events, food and beverage, and spa operations rather than relying on room rate alone, and who understood before signing that the brand's incentive fee structure means the management company gets paid well even when the owner is losing money. A 5-star hotel, at the end of the day, isn't really a hospitality business you control at all. It's a capital-intensive real estate asset wrapped in a long-term brand licensing agreement, where the fine print in a single management contract, negotiated years before a downturn or renovation mandate ever hits, decides who actually survives long enough to see the property through to profitability.